Going back to the Yellow House days, were you a part of that?
Yellow House came along about the time the Great Divide got signed to Atlantic Records back in the late 90s. Well, it'd been there longer than that, but it started to become, it was like the new version of The Farm. Like when I was there as just a songwriter and a student going to college, not even in a band, The Farm was where you went if you wanted to play guitars and share your songs and hear other people's songs. And always, something going on out there, this old farmhouse outside of town. And so when Cody and Jason Boland, I think Stoney lived there too, just this old, looked like an old fraternity house, kind of big building with a real nasty basement in it that they had some recording gear set up, I remember. But, that was kind of more, and that started really happening about the time I hit the road a lot. So
You'd already, quote-unquote, made it.
I was in the process of making
it.
Yeah. Yeah, trying for some new horizons.
Did anything good ever get recorded out of there, out of that basement?
I don't know. Chris McCoy, he recorded it. He's front of house for Randy Rogers, I believe. Okay. He'd be the guy to know.
Oh, McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
With his big hoop earrings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be curious. I'm sure that
I bet he does. I bet he still got some of those. I remember recording a song called North Platte Blues down there one time that wound up on a record of mine years and years later.
So in the midst of, you said what year? 1990?
When we got signed?
Yeah.
That was 98, I think, somewhere around there.
What was Garth Brooks like in that? Because Stillwater, was that happening? Obviously, the music was completely different than what y'all were doing. But was he as big there to you guys in that scene then?
Absolutely. I'll show you. Right when Nirvana came out and Teen Spirit hit and broke hard.
1990.
Yeah, right then, Garth was breaking too. And at the time, I was a big fan of Van Halen and the 80s. I loved it. And then here comes these moody, angsty, just stomp dancing all over that. And then I started hearing, and at the time it was really too kind of heavy and angry for where I was in my life. And it just didn't resonate at the time. But then Garth came out with Much Too Young. And I remember sweeping the floors in a lumber yard and hearing Much Too Young and thinking, man, that sounds like old Merle Haggard style, and just really liked that song. I bought that record, and Clint Black's Killing Time came out about that same kind of time. And so, yeah, I was big into Garth, and Garth got me listening to country again. And so I was a big fan, learned a bunch of Garth songs, and then when I moved to Stillwater, a bunch of the people that I'd met knew him, so I was like getting some inside scoop.
Didn't Skinner play with him a couple times?
Yeah, right. Tom Skinner was the bass player. Garth hired the Skinner Brothers Band as his band, which was Mike on the fiddle, and they all moved, and Tom Skinner on bass, and they all moved out to Nashville and lived in a big house together. And Tom decided he'd had about enough like a few months before Garth signed and hit it big. And he came back home to Oklahoma. He was going to write a book and called it Flirting with Success, the Tom Skinner story.
Flirting with Success.
Yeah, he was right close to it. But Garth, he's really spoke highly of Tom, Tom was influential to a lot of us. And it was a community there. And then we got to go out and meet Garth in right around that time, 98 or so. No, it was earlier, 96. And I'd never met anybody famous, much less a superstar. And we got to sit around and play guitars with him and just, hang out and talk and eat and play basketball. And I played a song for him, and he's like, man, can I cut that one? I'm like, yes, sir, you sure can.
When he cut I'd Rather Have Nothing, that was much later. Did you?
Right.
Were y'all still hanging?
No, the hang was over.
The one hang.
Yeah, so I'm out there in like 96 and hanging out and playing that, and he says he's going to cut it, and he's sitting there learning it and walking around his house singing it. And I'm just sitting there, teeth hanging way out, just blown away. And then so I go home and I start telling everybody I know, my friends.
Which is the curse.
The curse.
Never say you got a hold. Oh, from Garth, even bigger.
Yeah, Garth's going to cut my song. Is he? busy now, you know. And,
That's like a new house.
oh yeah, at the time,
Yeah, especially at that time.
Yeah, that was 90. You know, that was M. Peace's album. And golly, and then I went back home, and I was just still high on that for a while. And then several months later, I got a voice message from Garth that said, "Hey, buddy." That's a terrible Garth impersonation. But,
You got the buddy part right. Hey, buddy.
yeah, hey,
Well, I
buddy.
can't say I've never heard it. He's ever called me and left a
Yeah,
message.
he
so I
calls
can't-
me buddy. Well,
Do you still have that recording
Hey,
kept?
it was one of them old little cassettes. I don't think I do. But he said, "Hey, we cut that song for this record, and Alan Reynolds, the producer, he goes, doesn't think it's right for this project, and I'd like to still hold on to it." And I was just crestfallen, you know. And so that
You had to come back and tell all your friends.
yeah,
Hey, what happened to that Garth cut, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of let it die down. I go, look at the picture again. That's me. That's me right here. That's him singing that song that he liked.
Had he
You
sold
know.
more records than the Beatles?
No, I think so.
So what was it like when you finally get the word that he's going
Oh, yeah, that was in 2005. I was at Cedar Creek working on Ragweed's Garage album, which I heard y'all play Fighting For earlier. That's one off of there. We were working on that, and I got a call from his lawyers just saying that he's putting out a box set and doing an album called The Lost Sessions. And, you know, several songs from those sessions that didn't make the cuts wound up on there. So it was a part of a box set and sold 2 million copies. And then I just got an email from their lawyer again that he's going to be putting out this 6 compact disc plus this booklet talking about all these different eras, and that sold another 500,000 copies. You know, he's still moving physical units. You know, he doesn't do the digital stuff, so his fan base
Still get to go to the mailbox, get a little of that mailbox money.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garth.
Thank you, GB. That's what I call him.
Oh,
Jeebles.
That's what he calls him too. I was so proud when, you know, I've known Mike for a while, that a guy named Ty England, who was in Garth's band, recorded that song. And I thought I'd Rather Have Nothing was a phenomenal song. And Ty did a little bit different. Garth did it the exact same way that Ty did.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm like, well, maybe this will get on the radio.
Yeah.
Nope. Well, at least the Ty version did.
Yeah.
Garth is on Garth radio all the time.
Yeah.
You can kind of do that on your own radio station.
Yeah, he can play some deep cuts, some
Well, I have to
lost
ask,
cuts.
How did Ty England get it? Did Ty England approach you, or did
Ty played rhythm guitar for Garth.
Yeah.
And then Ty got signed to his own thing by Liberty, right? I think it was Liberty, a branch of Capitol.
Okay.
Anyway, they were put.
And Garth produced it.
Yeah, and Garth produced his album, and he put Rather Have Nothing on there.
Yeah, Ty.
Which I drove all the way out to Nashville just to hear a playback. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Because he sent me this saying, "Hey, man, I know you live in Oklahoma, but we're having this listening party for this Ty England record."
Oh,
And I said, "Okay." And I'm like, "I'm gone."
oh, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to miss that.
Well, I mean, here's the way that one went, Bryce. So I'm all excited because all of a sudden I'm playing with an artist that is produced by Garth Brooks, who at the time was on fire. And Ty had changed his name to Tyler because of Ty Herndon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
want the confusion to be out there at the time. So Garth goes on national TV with Late Night with Leno and all this, and it's talking about, yeah, I'm producing Ty England. I'm like, man, finally.
This is the
This
thing.
is it. This is the one.
Let me call my friends.
Yeah, exactly. And I did. This is going to be great. And the next thing, and the album was about to come out 2 weeks before it comes out, Chris Gaines happens.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Gaines happened, and that was the end of Garth. That was the end of Tyler England.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have nothing turned into nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
But fast forward a couple more years later, Garth
Yeah.
puts it out.
Yeah.
And Mike's getting some mailbox money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all that counts here, right?
Yeah. It's I mean, it was super thrilling. I mean, just because really I think back to sweeping the floors and hearing that voice going, man, that's a cool voice. You know, and then to go through all of that and finally get a cut, you know.
It's interesting you mentioned that Nirvana made you not want to listen to rock anymore. Same, because I was all into the 80s rock, like Motley and Def Leppard and
Right,
Poison.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted the big hair and, wear spandex and look like a woman. No, I love the music and, the entertainment style. But once I call them sneaker lookers music came out, because they all just sat there and looked at their sneakers. There was no excitement. The shoegaze.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned to appreciate it, but
over time, like I think I got angry enough to enjoy it, like in 2010 or something.
But it's
I remember
interesting.
going on a kick.
1989, when Clint Black and Garth Brooks came out,
Yeah.
that was the end of the hair metal,
Right.
and the beginning of Nirvana and all that. And that's when I got into country as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think a lot of people did. You
well,
know?
we're the same age. I see it on your knuckles there.
Yeah.
1971.
Our generation did that, you know. It's like that was a big kind of a jumping off point for people. Rock went that way, went grunge, which I love now, you know. And then, but
Right.
at the time, I just was like, no, this suits me better for some reason. And
That's when country went mainstream.
yeah,
Did you ever wear the Mo Betta? And
Garth took us. We met.
Did you go to the Mo Betta factory?
Maury Tate, and
Maury Tate.
he's like, pick out a shirt you like. Well, I couldn't find one. Yeah, they were these wild ass designs.
different
Like
sleeve
geometric.
colors.
Yeah, it just wasn't what I wore. I found a solid one.
And every one of them said Mo Betta all the way across them.
Oh, my mom and dad had matching Mobettas back in the 90s.
What? Come on. Before y'all are done with this album and this tour, can y'all try to bring back the Great Divide, Mo Betta?
Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe hook up with Maury.
That's awesome. Man, thank y'all for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Playing some music, making me laugh. If you want the album, it is available where great music is found, The Great Divide Providence. The website, if people want to find it, I'm sure Bryce is going to tell me.
Oh, well, thanks for asking. That's tgdmusic.com.
TGD Music.
The Great Divide
You
Music.
smooth, Bryce.
Yeah, look at him.
I'll say my DJ voice.
He does have the kind of the DJ voice, doesn't he?
I do.
You know, it's just like me. I'm working on my backup career when it's all over. Dancing for tips and tips alone.
All right.
Yeah.
On the main stage.
See, you're right there with me. All right. Thank y'all for coming by.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. The Great Divide, Bryce, Mike, McClure, and of course, again, Providence, the album. Go get you a copy of it where fine music is found. Eric Rains broadcasting live from the KOKE FM studios and live right here with Austin's KOKE FM.